Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to episode 5 of C++ Object-Oriented Programming. In the previous episode, we're dealing with visual functions and pure visual functions, showing how to create abstract classes. And then in this episode, if you still remember when we started polymorphism, we said there are two types of polymorphism. We said there is compile-time polymorphism and there is runtime polymorphism. We therefore covered visual functions, function overriding, and pure visual functions, which were all part of runtime polymorphism. Now we are covering the second part of polymorphism, which is called compile-time polymorphism. It is divided into two parts, which is function overloading and operator overloading. We will therefore start with function overloading. In this episode, we'll be covering function overloading, and then in the future episode, we'll be covering operator overloading. What is function overloading? Function overloading is the creation of many functions with the same name but different number of arguments or implementation. What does that mean? It means if you can see here on our rectangle, okay, this is our previous project. We created this visual function, and then we set the visual function. It alerts the compiler that we are doing dynamic binding. Then we created this visual function, this pure visual function, which makes this entire class to be an abstract class. We therefore created these three subclasses which inherit from shape, and then we have this rectangle class. If we're to create function overloading in this rectangle class, we will, let's say we are creating a function overloading for calc area. We said it must have the same name. That's the key concept. If you overload that function must have exactly the same name as the function you're overloading, right? So let's say we're overloading calc, we'll say void calc area, like that. This is our function. And it says we must have different number of arguments or parameters. So let's say we'll be passing here double, which we'll call it height. Then we'll pass another double, which we'll call width, right? Then we go to implementation. In this calc area, the original calc area, we were using these two variables which are on the private scope of the function of the class to calculate the area, right? But in this function now, we'll be using these two variables to calculate the area. We'll say TPL area is equals to height times width. Then during compile time, the C++ compiler will check if you call a function, you call the calc area function, and you don't pass in any arguments. During compile time, C++ compiler will compile this function. But if you call the calc area function and you pass in two arguments, during compile time, C++ compiler will compile this function here. So if we were to come to our main here, then we run our program like the previous video, we should get 200 as our area. Reason being, if we check this function, which we did, when we called our function here, which is area, we didn't pass any arguments. And if you come to rectangle and check, area is the calculate area without arguments. It uses the variables in our private scope, and those variables are 10 and 20, and then 10 times 20 will give you 200. If we're to call this function, the other one that we overloaded, let's say we give it 20, 20, we should get an area of 400. There is our area of 400. That's basically the concept of function overloading. If we're to say maybe we overload this function again, let's say we'll say void calc parameter, then we'll pass in width and height. double height, comma, double width. Then we're going to say dpl parameter is equals to 2 times, but now we're not using the variables in our private scope, we're using the ones that we're passing as arguments. In this example, we'll say height GHT plus width. So as your homework for today, you can do function overloading for this calc area in the triangle class and function overloading for this area in the circle class. In the next episode, we'll continue with operator overloading. Thank you for watching this video. If you like the video, please press the like button and comment down below. If you have any question, suggestion or comments, click this video here for the next episode of the series and subscribe here. Thank you. Have a nice day.